Very nerve-wracking, having to worry about your kids being in school. You know, used to be able to not have to do that.
Right now on News 8 at 9, another lockdown. What led investigators to make an international arrest after a second threat was made against United Township High School today. And no place for guns. The local pushback over consideration by the Department of Education to arm teachers in the classroom.
People want kids to feel powerful, and there's nothing more powerful than a book. I mean, it can change your whole world.
A powerful response, why it only took a fourth grade teacher 5 minutes to raise enough money to get her students free books for the whole school year. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Johnny Gendrich. Topping our news tonight at 9, an arrest has been made in the investigation of threats made against United Township High School. East Moline police say a threatening phone call to United Township was made today, similar to the one made last Friday. At no time was there any active threat actually on campus. The phone call was traced to Hagen, Germany, of all places. Today, police there questioned a 17-year-old who confessed to making the calls last Friday and today. Locally, East Moline police arrested a 15-year-old female who is accused of asking that German teen to make the threatening calls. Parents tell us tonight, although the threats aren't real, it's making the start of the new school year more difficult.
When I heard about the first lockdown, I called my grandson, which thank God he answered me, to make sure he was okay, and he was scared to death. You know, it's scary. It would be scary to me.
They've only been in school 3 weeks and can't learn much in that amount of time if they're out 2 days for this stuff.
East Moline police say there's no ongoing threat to United Township students, and there is no evidence there were any actual plans that a shooting was or is going to occur. The case remains under investigation. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos is reportedly considering allowing states to use federal funding to buy guns for teachers. That's according to the New York Times. DeVos would get the money from a grant to bypass laws that prohibit purchasing firearms with federal funds. If approved, it would undermine recent efforts made by Congress. DeVos, who chairs a federal commission on school safety, has previously said that schools should have the option to arm teachers. Local schools we talked with strongly oppose arming school teachers in the classroom. As News 8's John David shows us, educators are all about safety, but say they didn't sign on to carry guns.
So you have your login and your password.
There's a simple answer about buying guns for teachers.
Absolutely not.
Eagle Ridge School, with 300 students, is already a weapons-free zone. It has 44 cameras in place, and it takes an ID card just to enter.
I think we have other options before we start putting guns in teachers' hands.
You should have it in your notes.
Inside Allison Rasco's math class, she concentrates on teaching, and her 6th graders concentrate on learning.
We do have lots of procedures in place, and I feel comfortable that we know what to do, and I don't think we need guns.
But the Education Secretary may use federal funding to buy guns for teachers, money that's earmarked for academic and enrichment programs.
I would never demand or want to require a teacher to carry a gun, especially somebody who's not comfortable carrying one.
Teachers like Allison Rasco worry about guns in the classroom. The very presence of weapons could heighten anxiety and promote tragedy.
Personally, I'm frightened to be able to have a gun in the classroom. Just having it there that someone could take it and I would be responsible for that.
It's just not a place for school. You're around kids. Accidents can happen. And how are you going to explain that to a parent?
At this school, the idea just doesn't work.
But I do not want to have one in my classroom.
At Eagle Ridge School, choosing safety over guns.
Educators tell us hiring school resource officers would be a safer alternative. An update tonight on the Mollie Tibbets murder investigation. Preliminary autopsy results show the 20-year-old was stabbed to death. Her death officially ruled a homicide from multiple sharp force injuries. The Iowa medical examiner confirmed it was Tibbets' body that was found on Tuesday morning in a cornfield near Brooklyn, Iowa. Christian Rivera is charged with first-degree murder. He's due back in court next week. A former University of Iowa wrestler has been sentenced to 4 months in federal prison in a cheating scandal. Trevor Graves pleaded guilty to changing his and 5 other students' grades. Graves admitted that from March of 2015 to November of 2016, he manipulated the university's computer network and obtained professors' usernames and passwords. Graves also has to pay back nearly $70,000 in restitution. OnStar helped stop a stolen car in East Moline today. 2 officers pinned in the car near 13th Street and 18th Avenue after telling OnStar advisors to remotely shut off the car. They say the driver tried to ram one of the squad cars to get away but failed. The incident started with a call to a home in East Moline. Investigators say Damian Monk broke into the house, stole a woman's purse, then drove off with her car.
These guys have no respect for authority. They have no respect for laws, obviously, and they drive very recklessly. Had he seen us and us not been able to contain him, he would have driven away at a high rate of speed, further endangering the public.
Monk is now facing several charges, including burglary and reckless conduct. Extreme drought is expanding in southern Iowa, and conditions are getting worse in our viewing area as well. The latest drought monitor released by the University of Nebraska shows 6 southern Iowa counties in extreme drought, with Davis and Appanoose counties getting the worst of it. In our viewing area, there are severe drought conditions in Des Moines, Louisa, Henderson, and Mercer counties. Rock Island and Muscatine are in a moderate drought. A perfect summer night outside weather-wise, but it looks like we could see some much-needed rain in the near future. Storm Track 8 Chief Meteorologist James O'Hara is in the Weather Center with the first check of our forecast. Hi, James.
Hey, Johnny. I think a good drink will be a good thing for those yards and gardens out there as we make our way into our Friday. But until then, though, things are still looking pretty nice and very comfortable out there. We had temperatures right around 80 for daytime highs. Currently, we're seeing temperatures around the upper 60s to even lower 70s from east to west. Right now in the Quad Cities, 68 after that high of 80. Southeast winds at 7. The air is still very comfortable out there with that dew point at 59 degrees. But we do see an increase in clouds slowly from west to east. So temperatures won't be as cool compared to past nights, as overnight lows will dip down around the low to mid 60s. Those clouds will thicken and lower and eventually lead to some of that wet weather. It looks like as early as around sunrise. And that's just one wave expected to roll through our forecast. I'll tell you when the next wave will be arriving, coming up in just a few minutes. Johnny?
A Rock Island teacher found a way to give her 4th grade class a boost just by asking friends on social media. News 8's Katrina Lemansky shows us how she was able to round up free books for the entire year in just under 5 minutes.
Look, am I going to charge you for going back in your book and looking? No, it's all free, friends.
Take a look inside Mrs. Smith's 4th grade class at the Rock Island Center for Math and Science.
So with your friends, you can write a paragraph.
You'll see a room full of boys and girls eager to learn.
They love to read me.
And a teacher with a big surprise.
So I have a big announcement. You guys could get a free book every month from Scholastic.
That we get to take home for free and we don't have to buy them. And I did the happy dance.
Let's do a happy dance. Go!
Getting those free books started with a Facebook post.
Here's an idea I'd like you to try out this year.
Mrs. Smith asked her friends and family to sponsor the kids in her class.
Just love.
$9 per student gets them 1 book a month, all school year long.
Within 5 minutes, I had an offer to pay for the full amount for my class for the year. We're going to start task 1.
But the donations didn't stop there.
You guys, it was like fire. I mean, it was like, we're going to give you a book. We're going to give you a book.
I think it's very nice of people to donate money for helping us learn and to read. Everyone will have a nice time with their new books.
Charlie.
Mrs. Smith says she's thankful for the generosity, but not surprised.
People want kids to feel powerful, and there's nothing more powerful than a book. I mean, it can change your whole world. Any other questions?
Adding positivity to the world.
These books are not mine. They're yours.
1 book at a time.
It is super special.
In Rock Island, Katrina Lemansky, WQAD News 8.
How fantastic is that? With more donations than she needs, for the class, Mrs. Smith says she's planning to help her fellow teachers get free books for their students, too. Still ahead tonight on News 8 at 9, serious questions the doubts raised today by Senator Dick Durbin over President Trump's pick to fill an upcoming vacancy on the Supreme Court.